Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up, making things happen, creative people, why they do their thing, how they do it, how they keep it going. That's what I like to talk about. And today my guest is a returning champion, one of my favorite people ever to exist on planet Earth, Nora Burns, the writer and performer. And she's bringing her comedy show, Candied Camera Live with Nora Burns, to Los Angeles, to Casita del Campo on October 25th and 26th. It's a show that celebrates this cable access show that she did in the 90s called Candied Camera that ran like at 3 o'clock in the morning during that era when Robin Bird and people like that had cable access shows. She came across the tapes recently and she created a stage show around it that has live elements and taped elements. And I've watched the tape of it and it's very funny and such a kind of throwback to a moment. And also, I love Nora. She's one of my favorite people. So we talk about our history and how she always kind of keeps it going and always shows up for her friends. I get a little emotional at the end because she's just kind of a rock. And I'm so excited because I'm going to be dancing in her show. There's go-go boys that have gone to seed, kind of, is the idea, which I'm like, that's my job description. So I will be doing it October 25th and 26th in LA. But before we get to the interview, I want to encourage you to pre-order my new party game. It's called Search Party, and I'm shooting to get it into people's hands by the holidays, and I need 150 orders before November 15th to make it happen, to make it financially feasible, and we're well on our way. We've got about 65 at this point, so if you would love a party game to play with your friends over the holidays, it's just $25. It includes shipping. It's very easy to understand. It's something you could pull out of your purse and do a round or two at a bar. People use their phones to find images to delight each other, and whoever has the funniest one wins that round. It's pretty straightforward. And you can learn about it at youdon'tknowmylife.com/search party. That's where you can pre-order the game for $25 and help me out. Help me realize a dream in this crazy year. That's my Project 2025. When you think of those words together, think of Search Party, my game. It's my project. The other thing I want to remind you of is that I pretty much do this show myself. I have some sponsors sometimes filtered in, but pretty much it's me. And if you want to support it, there's a few things you can do. You can go to DennisAnyone.net and leave a tip in my virtual tip jar. You can also become a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of a group of shows under the Derek and Romaine podcast banner, and for a monthly fee, you get my show early, and you get a lot of other cool shows. So learn about that at dnrstudios.com. And one final thing I want to mention, New Fest is happening in New York right now, the Gay Film Festival, and I've been able to get a screening link, so I'm going to be watching a few things on streaming, and you can do that too. I haven't watched anything yet, it's just started, but that's an option. And so if you want to learn about that, go to newfest.org. The streaming projects, the streaming offerings are available nationwide. So I think that's kind of a cool thing about festivals these days. So check that out. All right, that's all the plugs. Here now is my interview with Nora Burns. Joining me now from New York City, it's my friend Nora Burns, writer and performer extraordinaire. Hi, Nora. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Dennis. It's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
It's been too long.
Oh, my God. It's crazy.
It's all changing.
The last time I was in in LA was March of 2020. And
right. That was the last time you were in LA?
Who knew? And I haven't been back since because Casita closed and craziness.
And you were gracious enough to throw a game night for You Don't Know My Life right before, and then it was like the last thing I did socially before everything closed down. But you threw a game night with all of your gays and very graciously to try to help get the buzz going for the game. And you've always been a super booster that way. I can think of all these supporter.
Things. Misadventures in the 213 is still one of my funniest books of all time. And
I think you got me written up in Paper magazine at the time. You always show up for your friends and do things. And I know that when I go to your
talented, so
I know when I go to your shows, I'm going to see Nora's friends. There are a certain group that I see at every thing over decades. So
I hope so.
So when you texted me and you said, do you want to be a go-go dancer in my Candied camera show that I'm bringing to Casita del Campo? I texted back yes before I'd even looked at my calendar. I'm like, Yes, for a million reasons. I'm embracing the dance part of my
Love.
portfolio, but also you and all of it. So what am I in for? How do you describe Candied camera for people that don't know the source material?
Okay. Well, I just done my two shows in New York. I did David's Friend, and then I'd done my disco musical, The Village, a disco daydream, and that had 4 runs. But it's a cast of 10. It was a big production. It's a big deal. And as much as I love it, and I would love to do it again, La Mama was like, hey, can you, and I have this amazing director, Adam, who's actually going to be in LA and be able to direct our show. And I'm so excited about that. But anyway, so La Mama was like, can you do a show? We're reopening the club. And I'd been the last show before they closed the club with David's Friend. And so I was like, okay, but I don't want to I just finished 4 runs of The Village. I want to do something new. So Adam was like, well, why don't we do something with your cable show? And in the 90s, I did this cable show called Candied Camera. I did on Gay Cable Network, which, as I say in the show, was not a network. It was a sex club with a camera in it and an editing room. And anyway, so for from 92 to 96, I did this show called Candied Camera, which was like this crazy variety show. And I dressed up and I had go-go boys and drag queens and guests, and we did skits and everything like that. So, and then I found out that I thought it was gone because it was 90s cable. I didn't save the show. I didn't even watch the show. I would do it and then just it was on at 3 a.m. on Tuesday or something. I never even watched it. I never kept it. I thought it was gone. But I ran into someone who, and Lou Maletta died about 15 years ago. He was this wonderful old leather daddy who ran Gay Cable Network. But he died. And I guess when he died, his archives, because he'd been running around with a camera in his chapless, in his
ass hanging out. Yeah.
Yep.
Just keeping the lens cap in his asshole. Yeah, exactly.
Filming stuff since the 70s.
Right.
So Fales Library got his archives. But I didn't think they would have my stupid show. But my friend was like, oh, well, why don't you just ask them? So I was like, hey, you don't have this show Candied Camera, do you? And they were like, yeah, we actually do. And so I probably did 50 episodes. They had maybe 35 of them. So they digitized them for me, and I got them and I watched them and I was like, ooh, these are scary. As things were back in the 90s so I just put them on my Vimeo, password protected, forgot about them. But Adam was like, oh, let's do something with them. And because he's not only a great theater director, but he's a great, video film director too. We came up with this concept where, it was, I found my old show, which was such a huge hit, which it wasn't. That was my cat's tail. Sorry.
I love that a cat tail just appeared in the Zoom screen. It was really cool.
And it should be my background. And so anyway, so we came up with this concept that was kind of like The Comeback meets Spinal Tap, where it's like, I found my old show. It was so amazing. We're bringing it back. And so we both, he put together old, montages of the show. And then we also came up with this whole mockumentary that runs through the whole show. And then also I'm bringing back original go-go dancers.
Right.
Hugh and Pip. And then also I brought back original guests. So in New York, I had David Ilku, who'd been on with the Dueling Bankheads, and then my friend Kevin Herzog, who was just one of my many people who I would call up and say, grab a dildo and a stuffed penguin. We're filming a skit today. And so anyway, we do little bits with them. And yeah, so it's funny, it's silly, it's tongue in cheek. And, there's old vintage stuff, there's new stuff, there's live stuff. In LA, it's going to be you and Pip will be my go-go dancers. And
fantastic.
Then Walter, who was on my show all the time, Walter Barnett, is going to be one of my special guests. And Terrence Michael from the Nellies, because I just started doing the Nellies or Planet Q at the time. So he was in a bunch of the shows too.
Right. The Nellie Olsons are the comedy group. That's how I met you.
Exactly.
You guys were performing at Highways in Los Angeles, and I came and saw you, and I fell in love with all of you, and we did a piece in Detour magazine. I remember that. And I remember going to diners after your shows and stuff, and this is the mid-90s. So Candied Camera was happening around the same time as the Nellies were sort of happening. Would you get paid a dime for any of this? Would you just do it?
At one point, Lou was like, why don't you get some advertisers? So I spent like an afternoon walking around. I think I had some lesbian bar that gave me $50 and, you know, some, you know, gay, like porn shop. Yeah. But then I was just like, oh, I don't care. You know, no one charged me money. You know, we edited it for free at the studio because they dubbed porn videos all day. Yeah. So, you know, they had this grumpy old straight fat guy who would be dubbing the porn videos. And so, you know, he would do my show. Yeah. So nothing cost. There were slaves because, you know, Lou Millette had all these slaves running around the studio.
Literally slaves. Yeah. Like
so there were cameras. Slaves. Oh, that's the other thing. We have a camera slave. Yeah. So in New York, it was my friend Ricky Roman, who's a porn star. And
who's very cute. And the video, you sent me a video to watch to prepare for my dance numbers.
In LA, we have Mariano, who's a gorgeous go-go boy who's been in the Village. So we've got some eye candy there. Not that you are eye candy too, Dennis.
I'm eye candy that's been on the shelf a while, and you're checking the date before you consume it.
But, like a Baby Ruth or
yes, for sure. Like an old school candy bar. Like. Yes. Yeah. Literally. I wish I had the sugar. When you looked at the tapes, what struck you? Was it like, oh my gosh, we're so, I don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? There must have been something kind of hilarious, but also a little sweet about it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's super cringy because, you know, I've grown a lot both as a performer and as a kind of interviewer. So and I had this stupid concept when I did the show where I was like, I'm hosting it as Candy, but every week there's a different theme. And Candy goes with whatever the theme is. So if the theme is Germany, then Candy is talking like this. And if the theme is Southern, Candy's talking like this. Right. So the times when I'm interviewing like Johnny Dynell or, you know, Danny Field, and I'm talking like this. And they're like, you know, Nora, why are you talking like that?
Yeah, this is going to be weird in the montage 30 years later.
Exactly. So, yeah.
But you did it. Like you did all those shows, all those ideas, all those sketches, all those people you pulled together. You created something out of nothing.
Yeah, well, it still added up to a lot of nothing, but you know, everything was very DIY back then.
Yes. So. And it was probably, do you remember it being really fun? Do you remember enjoying it a lot?
Yeah, well, nobody like, you know, now you ask people to do things and they're like, how much does it pay? Like back then, everyone was just like, you know, everyone's rent was like $200, and
right, you know. you could live in the world. You didn't always have to be looking for what's in it for me, right? Your basics were sort of not a big concern.
Exactly, and I think also a big thing was there was no YouTube, there was no TikTok. No one was trying to get famous. None of us thought we were going to get famous doing this show that was on at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday that 7 people saw. Right. We were really just doing it because that's what you do. Right. You know. So,
there it is. There's some familiar faces that pop up. RuPaul. How many was Ru on multiple times, or
no? Ru was on. He was just on my gay pride show, and unfortunately, I lost a few episodes that had fun people on it. Yeah. But yeah, like I had Mark Jacobs on.
Kevin Aviance.
Kevin Aviance was. Well, I had judged the Miss Boy Bar contest that year, so I just had a clip of the Miss Boy Bar. But when I did the show in New York, I did a thing where I interviewed people who'd been on. So I interviewed Michael Musto, Lauren Ozerski, Kevin Aviance, Linda Simpson.
All these kids. I did not know Michael Musto had a musical background.
Yes,
he was like
he's still a big musical queen. He loves to sing. And
he's good at it. Like those clips and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, it's awesome. Like I did not know that about his background. So you got all of these tapes from New York University. I like the way you thread through the documentary footage, and your kids pop up you have grown children now, like college age maybe, or I'm not even sure how old they are, but they pop up and there's this sort of like, my mom's doing this weird gay stuff theater
weird
still.
Mom. Yeah.
And I find that so funny because it's so uniquely you guys. Like, I don't know any other dynamic where it's like, my mom, she loves her gay theater skit stuff. Right. So, yeah.
Mom, you left your dildo in my room.
Yeah, like that whole thing. It had that kind of wacky sitcom family vibe. How did they feel?
Bruno steals the show, I've got to say.
Right, because he's so, like, and it's the generation
like
stuff.
Cringe. Like, no, get that out of my face.
Yeah, but they were good sports about being in it. Yeah. How do they feel about your creative work generally?
I don't know. They pretty much, they're fun. My daughter loves coming to my shows, and it was funny because I just did this show called Denim on Denim, which was an 80s variety show. And Bruno, I had my son in it. He was like one of the dancers, and he was in a skit, because he's really good, but he has no interest in it. And afterwards, everyone was like, "Oh, Bruno's so good." I was like, "Oh, Bruno, you're so good. You should be in my next show." He's like, "Mom, I just want to work in a bank, please." Like no interest. Like,
he does not have the showbiz bug. Like he doesn't have it.
I was like, "How are you related to me?"
Yeah, I don't know. It happened, but they've probably been coming and seeing this and knowing this, their whole lives. I have a random question for you. How many wigs do you think you have?
Oh my God, I have so many wigs.
How do you store them?
Really badly. I'm such a, a video would kill me. It's like they're rolled up in a bag. I pull out the bag of wigs. And actually a friend who has cancer just gave me, because now her hair is growing back, she just gave me like 10 more wigs. I was like, oh my God. So yes, I have a lot of wigs.
You have a lot of wigs. I love that you keep them all. I love the documentary stuff because, like, at one point you're in a sex club and you start to that was the studio, but you start to hear people fucking and like the Spinal Tappy real doc parts of the piece work really well. How is it going to be different in LA than New York? I imagine some of the guests are going to be different.
Well, I'm not having any guests.
Not having any guests. Okay, cool.
Because I don't really have people who are on the show
who ended up here. Yeah.
Except, hey, Rue, you want to be on my show at Casita del Campo on Saturday? Like, no.
I bet Rue might. Like, because people show up for you because you show up for them. Like, you have a uniquely loyal, like, group of people, like, because of who you are and how generous you always are to everyone else. So I think Rue would consider it. It's not a blanket no right out of the gate. I love it. What do you like about performing in LA? I know you like to see your friends and everything.
I am in love with Casita, or Cavern Club. Like that's what, when it closed, it was like, well, I guess we're not performing in LA till it opens again. I can't imagine really performing anywhere else there. But, I love seeing all my friends there. And, it is that wonderful community feeling. Like there are just so many kooks and freaks and, Mario and Moby Dick and Jackie Beat and, like so many like fun, funny people there. So it's not all the biz.
Yeah. So when you would do Candied Camera, were they like half-hour episodes or hour-long, or was there a rule to it? Like, what were you meant to deliver?
I think it had to be like 23 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And, that's what the editor we would want, futz it to that. And then I would just, they would drop it off to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network place that would put it on in its time slot, which, as I said, was probably like 2 a.m. on Tuesday.
Right.
It's funny. There's like all this interest now in the old like public access.
Yeah. What it was.
Documentaries about, which
what it was like.
Documentaries never come out, but all about,
Yeah.
That, because it was such a unique kind of thing. It was pre-TikTok, pre-anything internet. So.
And the standards were different. Like, you could do sexy stuff and there was nudity and profanity, right?
It was crazy. Yeah. Like
Robin Bird.
Penetration.
Yeah, short of penetration, you could do almost anything. So there was nudity. So you were part of that Robin Bird era when that was happening in New York and all that. Would you ever get recognized when you're out and about? Like, oh, you're on Candied camera. No, not once. Not once.
No, I did have one friend who was on my show, and he was like, oh my God, this guy from my building, he was like, oh, I saw you last night on cable TV. And then he said, and then the next week he was arrested for cannibalism.
So your one fan was arrested for cannibalism the next week?
Yep.
Yeah. Damn.
Yep.
So
I had the cannibal market in New York.
That is so crazy. Did you have to deliver a show every week, or was it sometimes like, I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it?
I did every 2 weeks. Yeah.
You did it every 2 weeks. But you did it like you did it. You responsibly did it for several years.
For several years, yeah. But, we'd like, okay, this show is going to be a best of,
Yeah,
like,
you would figure it out. But you kept it going. And I find the same thing with your stage shows. It's like, I open Facebook and I'm like,
going. Nobody's coming, but we're keeping it going.
Nora's got another show. But I feel like your writing and your performing has evolved. And like David's Friend, which I got to see, was full of heart and like a certain maturity. And I wish I could have seen The Village. It sounded like it was right up my alley.
I know. I wish you could. It's my favorite. I love that show so much. All of us do. And there are people in New York who've seen it like 7 times. But it's funny. I don't know how to go to that next level. Like I went to Drew Droege has a new show in town. Yeah. Messy White Gaze. I went the other night, it's like packed. It's full of like all these like 30, 40-year-old gay men. It's like, it's got to have a crazy budget. And I'm just like, like I can sort of do like, The Village was kind of a hit in the off Broadway.
Yeah.
But I can never like, and I'm like, I feel like, oh, if, the New York Times would come to the show, or, they came to David's Friend, which was a miracle. And that's why that sort of got its success. But in general, I don't know how, I never kind of like go over that. Like, I'm always like, wow.
Yeah, I relate to that. I relate to that sentiment very well. But like I was looking at some of the imagery from Drew's thing and the set, and I'm like, oh, this is really elevated. And like Drew's a Casita del Campo veteran, like, you know what I mean? So it's an apt comparison, and it's like, oh, it's having a moment. So it's very exciting. But you keep going. Have you ever just had a period of time when you're like,
you just keep going?
No, I admire
People
it.
Are like, Nora, stop. But I
relate to it. No, I relate to it. I find it very inspiring. I think and I connect to it.
I just don't know what else to do,
That's how I feel too. Like if there were if that desk job with the benefits and stuff.
Right.
If I even felt like it was something I could pursue, it doesn't have to be handed to me.
Exactly.
Like if there was a door a little bit ajar, I might go that way. But I could never. I feel like if there's a desk job that I'm meant to do or a traditional thing, I would have to go to Home Depot. I would have to buy whatever you do to make the foundation. I would have to build the building myself.
I know.
That's kind of how it feels. But I'm inspired.
Like we don't know what else to do. We don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do anything but wacky gay sketch comedy. It's kind of sad, but yeah.
But you keep it going, and where do you find the meaning in it now as you get older? Because I've sort of changed around it, I think. Like things like the mismatch game. Like, when I first started it, it was fun, and it didn't feel like my like this isn't my real thing. I want to be known for more serious things like books or whatever. I don't know. It felt like a fun side thing, and I thought it might lead to something else or whatever. But then you realize, oh, that thing you did to lead to the other thing, it's just the thing. It just becomes the thing. And I appreciate that I get to come together. I appreciate just the doing of it, I guess. Yeah. Like it doesn't need to lead to anything else. And when people seem to enjoy it.
Once you decide, you realize that you're much happier.
You're much happier. It doesn't, because for a long time it was like waiting for Guffman. Like I have a producer that's going to come and he works for the Game Show Network and
God.
And they never show up and it never becomes a thing. And so I let all of that go. And there's a real joy in the fact that like, we could still kind of fucking do this.
Yeah.
Do you have that feeling sometimes when you're like, I guess we're doing it just for this, for the.
Yeah. And now I've got sort of a little like, not like a company, but like Adam, my director, who's fucking amazing. He's like 33 years old and he's just like so full of ideas. And I'm always like, why do you want to be working with me? Like he should be like doing, Drew's show or above, but like, he's always like, what are we doing next? And I'm like, well, and then, John Cantwell's, choreographer, Robin, she is working on all my shows too. So it's me and Adam and Robin. And then we have like this little stable of people that we love working with. And then I also have like David Ilku and Mike Albo from Unitard and, keep going. And I mean, also in these hideous, horrible political times, it is a way to comment on things, to, distract, to, keep the community together, to keep us together, to keep us sane. And,
the first mismatch game that we did after Trump came back into office, there was a palpable difference in what the audience was giving us, what the relief that they felt and laughing. Like you could feel it. Do you have sensations like that performing these shows now? It was the weirdest thing
because I did Candied Camera originally in like the winter at La Mama of 2024. So election was a far way away. Then this other theater was like, oh, we want to bring it back for a few days in October. And it was that pre-election time. And we had a couple of good nights, but mostly the audience, people were just not, their headspace was not there. They were just like, people were like, no, we're crazy right now. We're like, and then after the election, when we were all so devastated, I did this other thing called New York Stories at Stonewall. Just for the hell of it, I did a New York Stories like a few weeks later, and it was packed and everyone was like, oh my God, we need to be here. We need to be, together. Yeah. And, I think now it's sort of, we're all just insane, losing our minds, but
here we are. What else are we going to do? We're going to keep doing it. What was fun creatively about putting this together? Because I think the mockumentary stuff it was an element I wasn't expecting, and it has a kind of sophistication to it. And obviously, you spent some time with those shoots, and well,
that's all Adam. Yeah. Adam literally put this show together. I mean, it's he did all the clips, he did the mockumentary. But it's a really fun show to do because it's not that hard for me. Yeah. It's a lot of video, and other cast members doing stuff. But I love this show. I think it's a super fun show. So,
well, I also think there's a big, obviously 90s nostalgia wave happening. And I think, there was an article I read where Friends is super popular with millennials and Gen X. And the show Friends, and I think it's watching friends relate with no screens, no social media. They're all in the same room. I think there's something about it that's like comforting or whatever. And so looking at these clips, it must have reminded you of an easier time. Like I just saw this post somebody posted somebody said, I think the reason we never see any time travelers is that they all went to 1993 and just stayed there. They're just at Tower Records listening to music. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have enough money to live on. They're, they all just stayed in 1993. And I thought,
right. I mean, I'd push it a little late because there were still people dying in the early 90s. The late 90s. 95, 96, those are really the Clinton years, and the economy was good.
People were doing good. The late 90s for me was like,
they were the best.
The pinnacle.
Really were the best.
They were the pinnacle of like my first book came out and magazines were booming and like
magazines. Oh, that's what magazines? We do in my Denim on Denim show. We have a whole segment dedicated to things we miss, and an ode to paper with like magazines and phone books and all that.
Well, you do an in memoriam for Candied Camera, and you show things that were featured in the show that aren't around anymore, like corded phones or landlines, but you do the Sarah McLachlan song. It's very clever. And then there's a segment of things that would get people canceled today. And
Right.
and that was hilarious. When you were watching the old tapes, how often would you go, "Oh, can't say that today"? Was it a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it was also like, the Nellies were always like, thank God no one taped our shows back then. Like, we were doing every accent you can imagine. And like, oh my God.
Yeah. So, but that segment is very funny.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s, yeah.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s. What do you look forward to do about doing it out here? What's exciting? What you haven't been out here since, I can't believe it.
It's going to be fun to see like what the reaction is. Cause I mean, it is LA and it's about, New York cable. But I think, aside from the fact there are enough New Yorkers out there, it's always fun to see what people's reactions are. But I think, I think people will relate, even though it's, because I've found doing other things, whether it's a skit or like David's Friend or things that are, New York based. If something's good and if it's funny, it works in LA as well as, New York.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking also as we were logging on about when we had our adventure in Hawaii. You lived in Maui for a while. And you had me and my boyfriend at the time out, and he did his show, and then we did the mismatch game, and we stayed in the Quonset. Are you still connected to Maui at all, or is it all over?
No, sadly, my husband sold the house, which we deeply regret. It was very stupid. So yeah, I mean, I definitely was happy to move back to New York, but it would have been nice to still have that.
Yeah, but creatively, you said it was like not, you miss being around creative people.
Bring in the creative. You had
to literally import it, and that's what your show was. When you're putting together a show like Candied Camera, what are your favorite parts? Is it actually the doing of it, or do you like conceiving things? Like, what part really lights you up?
It's fun. Like, I mean, we just had that happen with Denim on Denim, and me and Adam and Robin. And we kind of go, you're always at first like, is there a show here? And then you start thinking of more and more things. And, we'll put in that dance number. We'll have that montage. We'll do these AI skits. And, and then I remember like at one point Adam went, we have a show.
Yeah.
And so it is really fun to, like it is that when you go, we actually have enough to have a show. And the same with like developing the village, which was really such a cool process. Like we started it before the pandemic, and then we completely had to let it go. And I didn't think I would do it again, but I'd done a reading before the pandemic, and the script had problems.
But it's more of a traditional like play. Is it a musical where people would sing?
Very like, go-go dancers walk through the apartment and, like it's very breaking the third wall. It's sort of based on Our Town, but it's the hustler and his John and the, 1979.
Yeah.
Time travels. And, but actually Cynthia Nixon come to the reading, and then she was like, why don't you do that play? And I was like, I don't think it was very good. And, she was like, well, just try it. And so, I was like, well, if she thinks it's good. So, I kind of, that's the first thing I started working on with Adam, because he had been a stage manager before and he'd never directed before, but I was like, I think you'd be, and he was freaking amazing. So he and Robin just like kept coming up with all these incredible ideas. And it was such a fun show to do. And every time and the audience loved it. And, that was really one of my most satisfying experience.
Creative things. And it was more of a story as opposed to sketches kind of format.
Yeah, it was definitely like, a story, but it was, it was abstract. And
I would see all the posts.
People would cry at the end,
yes.
But like we weren't making them cry. Like the minute you try to make me cry, I'm not going to cry.
You're not having it.
You better just have affected me in some way.
Yeah.
That you've moved me. But if you try to do that, no.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Like, things like The Inheritance, and I'm just like,
no, not into it. I cried like a baby in The Inheritance. I did.
I think I sat there like, no,
not having it.
I know what you're trying to do. Once I know what they're trying to do, I'm like,
no, you're not going to fall for it. Would you ever do The Village in LA? Would it work at Casita?
I would love to. I'd need a bigger stage than Casita.
It's too big, yeah.
And it's 10 people. Like, I would have to partially recast it, but I don't know. Maybe, if I can find someone to help me bring it out, I can bring some of my leads and,
Yeah, I love it. You've got your director though and your choreographer. It's when you have a good group, it helps to kind of keep the momentum going.
It really does.
And keep the joy in it. And like if you're having a low energy day, they can kind of like inspire you. I'm happy that you found that. You picked some questions from the observation deck. What are you good at that might surprise people?
Oh, I'm good at square dancing and folk
dancing. Square dancing and folk dancing.
Yeah, which is, because I love dancing. I love disco dancing and, I went through dance, but I really have no sense of rhythm. And, which Mike and David tell me often. But I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is a hippie town. So I grew up folk dancing and square dancing. And I'm actually pretty damn good at it. I can do-si-do and,
all of that stuff. And what were the outfits? What were the outfits like?
Oh, it was peasant blouses and, kind of like peasant skirts. It's very, hippie.
Hippie dippy. I love it. You also wrote this down, skinny dipping story. That was one of the other ones you picked. That
sort of goes with my hippie Cambridge thing where, between my father being German and they can't keep their clothes on, which mortified me when I was little. I was like, oh, Dad, my friends are over. Put your fucking clothes on. I didn't say fucking, but put your clothes on. But then, by the time I got to be a teenager, I was just like, I never kept my clothes. I was just like, I skinny dipped right and left and, and people would be like, Nora, it's, a public pool in Boston. Like, put your clothes on. But, anyway.
But you were free and limb free,
I was free.
It was part of your genetic, disposition. I love it. And what movie have you seen more than any other?
Poseidon Adventure.
What do you love about it? That was a movie that scared me so much as a kid.
Really?
I would wake up in the middle of the night and think there was a wall of water coming to me. It was that shot of the water.
Of water.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know that wall of water, but Carol Lindley and, just the whole, like, it's funny because I watch it now and I'm like, that Gene Hackman character is horrible.
Yeah.
He's so weird and pervy and creepy, but
and also kind of like full of himself, like a little
full of himself, unbearable. I'm
like,
oh, thank God he dies.
Yeah.
But that was one of those. I was like 10 when it came out, and my friend and I we were obsessed. We just went back and saw it and saw it and saw it and saw it, and that was when you had to go to the theater to see it. There weren't even videos back then. You had to go to the theater.
And it was your thing.
Loved it. Like Dreamgirls is the show I've seen more than anything. That is my favorite Broadway show, hands down. Dreamgirls.
What do you love about it?
Oh my God. The music, the story, everything. I saw it when I first got to New York, and my friend came down from Boston and was like, let's go to a show. And we just were like, oh, let's go to that. And we were just like, oh, I have to see this again and again and again. And like Jennifer Holliday was in it, but then one night she wasn't in, and the understudy was amazing. And then one time I was we were doing a unitard show in Pittsburgh, and I ran to Billy Porter and I was like, what are you doing in Pittsburgh? He's like, oh, I'm doing Dreamgirls. So I went to the matinee of Dreamgirls. I mean, just like Dreamgirls is always amazing. It's just like the best musical ever.
I saw Kiss of the Spider Woman last night, which is directed by Bill Condon, who did the movie of Dreamgirls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I even liked the movie. I didn't hate the movie. How was Kiss of the Spider Woman?
I loved it. I was very moved by it. I've seen it twice so far. I saw an advanced screening and then last night, opening night. So yeah. And I cried like a bitch, but I cry really easily right now. And it's not, I think it's a bit about being the age that I am, also the uncertainty in the world and also in my life. But there is also something else about it, that's not a bummer reason. Yeah. It's an appreciation for something, right? How long we've been around and that we're still here. Do you ever have those moments of like, I'm still here?
Oh, absolutely. And I literally, that's one thing, I'll be in New York and I've been here since 1979 and I still go, oh my God, I love this city and I love that I get to live here and It just makes me so happy. And I'm just like, the history and, you know, I look around and I'm just like, or, you know, you'll be out and you'll just see a bunch of like, you know, freaky, you know, gays dancing at a tea dance. And I'm just like, you know, or some old queen who's still out there. I'm just like, oh my God, I love this, you know?
Yeah.
So
there are people that you mentioned in the documentary that are no longer with us, or in the documentary part of Candied Camera, people that were part of that world at the time. Wasn't the TV station guy quite a character who's no longer with us? Is that Lou that I'm thinking of?
That's Lou Maletta. Yeah.
Tell us about Lou Maletta.
Oh my God. Lou is amazing. He was, you know, I met him in like the 80s and he was just out and about all the time. I mean, he was a big, like, you know, leather queen. So he had like his assless chaps but he was also videotaping things. He was also having sex parties. And he just was a one of a kind. I think he'd come out like a little later because, you know, he was probably born in the 30s.
Right.
And he had a daughter who I never saw. I don't know where she lived. But he was just like, he was someone who loved life. He just like loved life. He, you know, just got a kick out of everything. And so, you know, we'd become friends from seeing each other out and about. And I was just like, you know, Lou, I'd like to do a show. Like I always want to do the kind of show, whether it's stage or whatever, that I want to see. And I was like, I want to do a show that's like comedy and go-go boys and drag queens and go-go girls and, you know, sketches. And he was like, sure, come on, I do it here. And, you know, he was just always, he was such a character.
Right.
So.
And no longer with us. When you walk by, in New York, you always walk by stuff. The place where you used to make it, is that still a studio? Is it something? Do you ever go by there?
It was never a studio. It was always like a loft that was a sex club.
Right.
With cameras in it. And it's in those buildings kind of in Chelsea that were, you know, at the time were very sketchy.
Right.
But now, you know, it's probably $1 million condos. But yeah, I mean, that whole area right around FIT, Chelsea still exists. But
somebody mentions the Big Cup, I think, in your thing. And the Big Cup was one of the first places I knew that was like a coffee house. Like, not a coffee shop, that's a diner. A coffee house, like, that was kind of a new idea before Starbucks. That you
hung out at.
Yeah. And I remember I remember meeting people there. Like the first time I met David Pevsner, the actor, he was at the Big Cup in New York. And I remember like using the payphone for work calls. Like, God, we sound like those people that are like, oh, so nostalgic for that. But all of it is. Looking at the tapes for Candied Camera, was there ever a part where you're like, that bit was really inspired. That was kind of funny. Like, were you ever like, oh, good job, Nora. That was clever. What was like your creative peak of the Candied Camera era? Were you really like...
What was what?
The creative peak, like the moment of like, okay, I stand by that bit.
I think it started up and then kind of went down. But
as things often do.
Yeah. It got a little sloppy. I mean, there were some, you know, I mean, like, you know, Walter doing Martha Stewart or, you know, I mean, there were some funny sketches and, I have a hard time finding a high point. Like,
sure.
Because it's funny though. Like
it's an aesthetic. It's that cable access aesthetic. Slapdash, like
messy, like
bits go on too long. But the way you guys present it in this show, everything's tight and
it makes it seem. I know because people are like, "Oh, I want to watch that show." I'm like, "No, it's much better here where you're watching like that much of it." Though it's funny because I posted something today on Instagram about the show in LA, and someone went, "Oh my God, I love Candied Camera. I've watched all the episodes at the Fales Library. It's my favorite show." I'm like, are we talking about the same thing? Like,
that's amazing. What's the Fales Library? Is that like a neat...
That's the NYU library.
Amazing.
FALES, not FA, but I'm more like FAIL, but you know, but
that must have been
like,
so...
Oh, can we see the show? And I'm like, no, you don't want to see the show. Trust me, you don't want to see the show.
This is the way it is. It must have been so wild when they said, oh yeah, we have those tapes. That must have been...
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like,
I know, because I really, like, I had maybe 2 episodes that I'd, someone had recorded for me at the time that were on a VHS tape. But I really was like, oh yeah, that cable show. It's too bad I, lost that. But and I really do have probably like 30 episodes.
Amazing. So. You talked about growing up and square dancing and that background and stuff. When was the first time you hung out with a group of gay people? Because you're part of the community. Those are your folks. But you remember the first time you're like, oh, I'm surrounded by gays and this is right. I'm home.
Well, I had a friend in high school, this super queenie guy, Francis.
Right.
And we were, friends. We made friends in the theater, of course. And we both loved disco. We were both obsessed with disco. So we go to his basement and we dance to Sister Sledge and stuff. And then we were like, we have to go find a gay disco. So we kept going to Boston, going to like a disco on the Howard Johnsons. Like we kept like, we never could find the disco. And then, because I lived in Cambridge, I lived near Harvard. So one time there was a sign for like audition for this play at Harvard. And it was kind of an experimental theater thing. So I lied and I said I went to Harvard and I got in. And it was done by all these gay guys. And, for a while they kept being like, so what dorm do you live in? And I'm like, I live off campus. And, finally they realized I was a high school student, whatever. But, but they were the first ones who took me to like actual gay bars in Boston. And the minute I walked in, I was like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah. Do you remember like kind of the music that was connected to that time?
All disco, which is still like literally my musical tastes haven't developed in 45 years.
Right.
Like,
you're right there.
I have exactly the same.
Yeah.
My Mixcloud, it's all exactly the same music I was listening to when I was 17. It's really
sneaking
sad.
into clubs. I love that. And they probably loved you and
you didn't
showed
really
you
have
the
to
ropes.
sneak in. I mean, the drinking age was 18 back then. And
there you go. You were close enough. Tell people how they can see Candied Camera. And what am I going to be doing? Wait, first of all, we got to go back. I'm definitely dancing in the opening number.
Yes, you're definitely in the opening number.
Because the Go-Go Boys in the video you sent, they come in, they're threaded through. So
yes,
I'll do whatever you need me to do.
Oh, yay.
Except for probably not take off the shirt.
And do you know Pip?
I do know him. Not super well, but I know him, for sure.
Okay, because he's one of John's dancers.
Okay.
So you'll do the opening number.
Okay.
And then Len Whitney, who lives in L.A., who I'm excited to have come, he used to do these he did the video montages for the Boy Bar.
Fantastic.
And he would do a video montage for me every week or every episode for whatever my theme was. So we have kind of I interview him, but I have we do an homage to him. Yeah. And I did have the Go-Go Boys did do a dance to that in New York, but I don't think there's going to be time to learn that.
Okay, fair enough.
So, I might just have you going to it or something like that.
Okay.
And then you'll be audience plants. So you'll have a couple of lines.
We'll have questions. Okay. I can do that.
In the show. And then,
what do I need to be thinking about in terms of outfits?
Ooh.
Or outfits.
Well, I mean, the boys have kind of a
tank tops and harnessy,
because, it was they were loose slaves. So.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can dig up. We'll see what's going on there. I had another memory of you that popped into my head as I was preparing to interview you. And I'm wondering if you remember this, but to me, it's like a very Nora story. Like it says a lot about you. Do you remember this at all?
Okay. Probably not, because I don't
probably
remember.
It was the late 70s, probably like 97 or 98 or late 90s. And we were going to go see a screening of the movie Edge of 17 at the Gay Film Festival in New York. And I was visiting New York and I had all of my New York friend connections. So I probably had a group of like 9 or 10 people. Okay. And you were going to go to the screening as well. We'd coordinated that. And you got in early. And you were able to save a row of like 10 seats by yourself. Like the anxiety that I have of saving one seat when it's a crowded screening and everybody's like that. But you could charmingly and effectively save a row of like 10 prime
I probably
seats.
took off every piece of clothing to put
But it's also your personality. Like, oh yeah. Like, and I would have had an anxiety attack trying to do one. But you were like, and you probably didn't alienate everybody. You probably gave them all flyers to things, but like, Nora
I was also friends with the person who ran the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival back then.
You were.
So he may have helped me as well.
I remember,
I need 10 seats. Okay, we'll save you a row.
And I remember getting in there, and I would normally have felt like, oh, I'm so sorry we left you in there so long, or maybe we were late from dinner or whatever. And you're like, oh, we got it. Here they are. Like, you were just on it. So, how do people find out about Candied Camera? Where's the best way to get the information?
Well, you can always go to my Instagram, Nora Burns NYC.
Yeah.
And for this, the Casita, the Cavern Club website.
Yep.
Which I'm not sure the exact thing right now, but
I think it might be cavernclubtheater.com. Yeah, I'm going to try to post about it too. Yeah, it's the 25th at 8 and the 26th at 3, and it'll be very fun. Coming to have chips and salsa. Yes. I've only ever performed at Casita like once, even though I've been there many times. And
I thought it was like a requirement.
I was part of the Fruitcake Follies Christmas show many years ago, performing with Jack Plotnick as Evie Harris and accompanying Evie on the piano. But for a period of time, I remember being like, that's my happy place, going to see a show there and watching my talented friends. None of us were really successful. We were all kind of getting by, but still doing it with wigs in the trunk. And there was something very like, I always knew people in the show. We were always kind of supporting each other. There was something special about that place. And it was a fire trap. And, and Mr. Dan does his, Mr. Dan does his speeches and his shtick, which is always really funny, even if you've heard the joke a million times. There's something really special about that community. And then you go
upstairs and you get a margarita and chips and salsa. It's the best. It's really the best.
It's the best. I want to end with I want to get your thoughts on friendship generally, because I think you're a good friend and I think you have a lot of good friends. And I was watching a clip online of Jon Stewart and Paul Rudd were talking. Paul Rudd was talking to Jon Stewart, and he was saying, when you get older, your world gets smaller, and I used to have friends, and now I just feel like it's me and my books. Like, what happened? Oh. And John sort of said, kind of backed that up, like, we got families or whatever, but the friend thing is, like, I have them, but they're just not around. And, like, this idea that your world can get smaller as you get older.
Yeah, definitely true.
I feel like you are the opposite of that. I try to be the opposite of that. But what if you...
Yes, you're the same, too. You're very good. Like, you always will put, like, I'm coming to New York. It's my birthday. I'm putting together a group. We're all going to,
I don't mind the cruise directing. I can do it. And not everyone can. And I'm not like, well, he never organizes. I could do it. Like, and I feel like people need it more than ever.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, it is work. Like, I don't let people go. Like,
you don't let people go.
I heard you said, you think I'm boring, stupid, and ugly, but I don't care. I like you, so you're still my friend. But you really do have to work. Like, my husband has no friends because he doesn't work at it. And it's, people, he's a great guy. People really like him. But if you don't call anyone,
right.
You have to, like, and yes, I do agree when you get older, like I watch my kids have a bigger, they have a bigger circle of friends. Yes, because people do move away or, they don't, but like, I make sure I'm seeing, I'm meeting a friend for lunch. I'm getting together. I'm going to an event, like I need that. I do too. I open my date book and it's like, there's nothing in it. I'm devastatedly depressed. So I make sure, like, I bought tickets to the ballet tonight and I'm going with my friend Gustavo and, we're having dinner I make sure there's shit going on. Yeah. So, but it's work and you have to and you do it too, like, but it's you have fulfilling. A really sweet, close circle of friends and that's always been your thing,
Well, like last night, for example, Kiss of the Spider Woman was opening, and I wanted people to go opening weekend to support it because it's queer, and I know Bill Condon, and like J-Lo. Somehow I'm rooting for that underdog J-Lo who can buy and sell everything I've ever touched 1,000,000 times over. But I'm rooting for that underdog. But Fandango came out. I got an email from them. There was a code for opening weekend. With the code, you got like $15 off a ticket. So it was pretty free. So I emailed people and I said, this is where we're going, and and we had like 6 of us there. And it was fun and we loved it. And and I had this feeling of like, this was good that I put this together. Like it matters, like a sense of pride.
Absolutely.
Not a thing of like, well, why don't they ever? Like, no, it's just, I don't keep score like that.
You can't be reciprocal.
Yeah.
Like, they never call. I'm like, no, I have some friends who never call me. And if I didn't call them, I wouldn't see them, but I don't care. I like them. So I'm going to call them, Yeah.
I'm really inspired by that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to go dance for you.
Yay.
You're coming into town. You're doing a Mamdani benefit before, which I'm excited about. Oh my
God. I have a call at 2:30 with Cynthia, and that was complete. All this was completely last minute. The beginning of October, I had nothing going on. Now I've got like this show because John Cantwell canceled.
Yeah.
And then, Cynthia and Christine and I have done, that's her wife.
Yeah.
We've done these, we pretty much met doing the original Bill de Blasio benefit because I went to high school with Bill.
Oh,
so
wow.
we formed his like gay and lesbian for, Bill thing back in 2013. And then since then we've been like, what do we, so all of a sudden, they were like, do we want to put the gang together and do something for Mamdani really quick? And I was like, what? So anyway, so yes. And of course it's like Thursday night was the only night that worked. So now I'm so nervous about the whole like,
LA thing.
Well,
getting there.
Yeah. With the flights, with the, air traffic controllers and stuff. So, I mean, there's a chance if things seem like the shit's really hitting the fan and flights are being canceled, I might not do go to the benefit. I've organized it. We've gotten it organized.
Great.
And come in a little bit early. But as it is, hopefully I can just be there by, Friday morning. We have all day Friday. And then Adam is going to be there from the 22nd. So hopefully he can work with.
Yeah. So I'm waiting to hear about rehearsal times apart from the actual show. I love, you also have famous friends too and navigate that world well, which is interesting.
Yeah, I have really normal famous friends.
Right. But it's hard. I just know from my own experience, they sometimes don't endure, and yours have. And I think that's awesome. It's probably a tribute to everyone involved, but it's a thing. And they come to your shows, and it's always fun to see all of your different friends there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to see so-and-so because they always come to Nora's shows. So there's that. Thank you for this.
And Craig Chester, right?
I do. Yeah, you guys have been doing the Adam and Steve stuff.
Yeah, we've been doing this crazy web series that just started off as a little tiny thing. And then now he's turning it's a feature film. So he's screening it in Palm Springs on November 6th.
Yeah, I might try to go down for it because I love Craig. I'm rooting for him, and
I know.
And I was so excited that was a crazy journey. He talked about it on this podcast, and it was very I was very touched that he
interview with someone who was like, okay, tell me about how crazy Craig was, which, it was Craig approved. I was like, he was crazy. I didn't think I'd ever see him again,
Yeah, it was a lot.
He came back.
I'm excited to see that as well. All right, Nora, I love you. I look forward to dancing with you.
I love you too.
And everyone should come see Candied Camera at Casita del Campo, and it's going to be good times.
Thank you. I'm so excited you're doing it, Dennis.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. Thank you again to Nora Burns. Come see Candied Camera live. It's on October 25th and 26th. The 26th is the matinee. 25th is an evening show at Casita del Campo, the Cavern Club Theater there. You can get tickets at cavernclubtheater.com, and that's ER, not RE in theater. All right, so this happened. I want to talk about Kiss of the Spider Woman. I saw it twice. I saw it at a press screening a week and a half ago or so. And then I saw it last night, which was Thursday night, opening night, the first night it's in theaters in LA. And I loved it. I was so moved by it. I've been reading sort of mixed things. I just saw a friend on Facebook who wrote a big, long review, and it wasn't as into it as I was. And I don't know. It's a story that, started as a book, and then it became a movie with William Hurt and Raul Julia. William Hurt won the Oscar, and then it became a musical, and now it's a musical movie directed by Bill Condon. And I'm going to talk more about this at length on Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay, because I have some connections to the people involved, and we'll talk more about that on my Patreon podcast, Substack and Patreon, called Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. I forgot to plug that up front. There's so much stuff going on. But anyway, what I really loved about it was the main character of Molina, the queer prisoner, is played by an actor named Tonatia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's one name. It's a real breakout role for him. And having a openly queer actor play that part makes such a difference to me. I just felt like his eyes were full of experience, and, William Hurt won the Oscar for playing it, but he was sort of putting on a gay thing, and at the time that was kind of seen as brave or whatever, but these days it's just like, no, just give me someone that doesn't have to put that on. That's just part of who they are, and it comes through, and I just was so moved by it. The relationship between the two men, Diego Luna was great, and I just thought that the screenwriter Bill Condon, using the book by Terrence McNally from the musical, but also the novel by Puig. I don't remember his first name. But anyway, he manages to get some lines in there that sort of speak to the moment, that talk a little bit about gender, but he does it in a very smooth, shrewd, satisfying way. And I was just, the first time I saw it, I cried so much that I had a headache the rest of the day. You know how you get one of those crying headaches? I had a crying headache the rest of the day. I don't know. I thought it was really moving. The relationship primarily, and through the character of Molina. I think in a way he feels like all gay people are in that character in some way. That feeling. And even when Valentin, he says it a couple of times, and he says it early on in the story that he doesn't like when Molina makes fun of himself, when he sort of, puts himself down a little bit. He's like, don't do that. Diego Luna says, don't do that. And I just think as queer people, we've learned to sort of make fun of ourselves first as a protective measure. And that's just one of the themes that kind of emerge in this story. So I don't know. I loved it. And I encourage everyone to go and see it. It might give you a crying headache. Maybe it's just me. I cry a lot these days, but it's not all bad. It's just because things are raw, I guess. There it is. All right. So that's my Kiss of the Spider-Woman review. I loved it. I think you might too. And I hope it does well in the movies. All right. That's enough for this week. I want to give a shout out to Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Replacement Music. We'll catch you next time. I'm Dennis Anyone. Bye.